Hi guys, this is Bonfrey from L World, and you're watching FOE Advance. Been a while since I've been on, but I've been diligently playing the game, actually more than ever in the past, and really been enjoying it. And I thought I would share a video today about some of the fruits of that labor. And what I wanted to do was explain and actually show you my collection right now, because my collection amounts have and percentages have increased dramatically since I was last posting. And it has to do with a few different variables. And I thought I would point out what those are and then also explain my BG collection methodology as I go along. And also talk about a new problem I'm having. It's, I guess, a good problem to have, but it looks like NO is basically ramping up the significance of happiness again. And, for so long, I mean, for years in playing the game, happiness has never been really a concern. It's almost like coins, like how important are they really? And they still, to me, don't seem very important right now. But happiness has become a thing depending on your city strategy. So I'll explain why I'm having some difficulties with that or some challenges. Right now, I have happiness only at happy. I don't have enthusiastic. Now, what's happening is before I do a collection, I'm having to use aid kits, aid and polishing kits. I never had to do this before. Before my collection, I always got enough aiding, and the number of my friends hasn't decreased or anything like that. Although I am assertively looking for friends now that polish and motivate, because I use the FOE Helper plugin, which is totally acceptable to do, by the way. It's not like a cheat or anything. The the guys that build this and program this follow in those guidelines, and they make sure that they're not doing anything to upset the balance that NO wants in the game. So what's nice is that I can look at some statistics here. I can go over here to Motivate and Polish Helper, and I can actually see on a trending basis who's been motivating or polishing and the ones that don't, etc. So the ones that don't, I tend to drop, and then I try to find other friends to replace them that hopefully will be more active. But here I am, looking at a collection and a number of my buildings that need to be polished and motivated to give me happiness as well as other good goodies are not in that state. So for the purpose of this video, I'm going to just go ahead and use a mass self-aid kit. Typically, I'll just use one of my 800 self-aid kits and pick and choose which buildings I need to polish. But in this case, it's been a full, obviously 24 plus hours since my last collection, and I still have 95 buildings that aren't polished. Now, what's contributing to this problem is that I kind of went bananas on the last, the fall event. So I spent more money than I should have on diamonds, because it's been over a year now since I've gotten the 200% diamond buy offer from NO, and I suppose it's because I've been active and I've been spending diamonds, and now I'm down to 2,000. It seems like, I hear from other friends that they get offered all the time, and I'm guessing it's probably because they're sitting on perhaps a larger diamond bank than I am. So I actually had to buy diamonds at full pop during that event because I wanted to get this thing, the Grape Stompin Festival Level 2, which has turned out to be a total game changer in how my city is going to look going forward, and also some of the other things that I have to balance now, because I'm very much now living in the world of fragments. So the Grape Stompin Festival being that it creates fragments of autumn vineyards, rustic autumn vineyards, and vibrance. So that means over time this thing is going to continue to spawn kits, build kits for these autumn vineyards, and you can see these things are pretty spectacular in terms of their space and their ROI. It's very high. on the ratios. So, and then these in turn, aside from, the 90 goods in my era, the 30 FPs, you get Shroom Throne fragments and Granny Aurora tree fragments. And those in turn create other things like cider garden fragments, and jumping pumpkin fragments. So the problem that I'm running into is that in adding jumping pumpkins, they're not the greatest variant of the fall buildings that came out, but it's kind of what I ended up with when I was doing pushes on the game, so on the mini games. So the thing that's great about them is that they give you a lot of attack buffs, but they also take away 24,000 happiness, which has become a problem. So I'm really going to just have to control how many of these I can really deploy in my city until I can balance happiness. I mean, and God forbid I have to build like a Coliseum or something. I just can't bring myself to do it. So for now, when I do a mass self-aid, I do get to where I need to be on enthusiastic, and I have 156,000 additional happiness. But again, that never used to be a thing. And then, there is kind of a recurring theme here. Also, when you get into the Halloween event buildings, in some cases, they also are negative, right? So you have like the Abandoned Asylum is a minus 2550. I know that I could probably use some more efficient buildings in my city, but I kind of like some of these buildings, and I definitely watch the numbers and the ratios and things like that. And I've thankfully been able to delete a lot of first, second, and third gen buildings, I guess is what I would call them. Things like cherry gardens and what are those statues, like the gold Roman statue. I can't remember what it's called right now, but just things like that used to be kind of a big deal, and they just aren't now. Like my train, I finally got rid of the Sleigh Ride Express or whatever, and the Winter Express, things like that. Anyhow, and the Coliseum thing, the long thing I used to have over here, that was a little bit hard. But then again, we have all these new buildings that are, as the game has tilted. I mean, if you're still in the game actively, you know that Inno has changed quite a bit of the metrics in the game with the the blue symbols related to your battling, and then of course the up change in Guild Battlegrounds, and it being a lot more expensive, a lot more stress on your treasuries, and a whole new rating system, of course, scoring system, with doing away with GVG. So it's actually a lot to talk about and to drill into on other videos, but I wanted to show finally in this part of the video my approach to collecting, because one of the things that I used to really use the BG for was to garner more FP, and that's when my city was probably producing 8 to 900 FP a day, the way I had it set up. Well, now that I'm in a guild where we've earned some we've earned some additional help, like the Tower of Champions has been huge to be able to get that, so that you can see the attack boosts I'm getting, as well as that's been a thing. But then there's also the Forgotten Temple, actually, that I have received fragments of because of playing GE5. I paid very little attention to GE5 in the past, and then when I joined Roughnecks, the guild here that I'm in Elworld, I was shocked to see, I've been leaving this on the table, this opportunity, because with doing GE5, I'm collecting Forgotten Temple fragments, and I'm getting a 20% boost in my Forge Point collection. And of course, these other attack buffs. So that's been huge. And then on top of that, with getting a number of these Vibrant Autumn Vineyards, and the ability to continue to spawn them over time has been incredible, because each of these is producing 30 FP, and then I ended up with 2 of these Vibrant Sunflower things, and it goes on and on. And so when you double some of these, it's a really big deal. Now, what I've been doing with the BG isn't just FP doubling. I'm not only looking at FP, I'm looking at the balance of goods that I'm getting, as well as these fragments, because the BG will double the fragments if it does hit when I collect, then I'm going to get, double FP, sure, double other things, but especially doubling the print fragments is huge for me, because the faster I can get these autumn vineyards buffed up to the highest level, then, that's just rising the tide of all my ships, so to speak. So I will, trigger my BG now. And then what I like about the FOE Helper plugin, again, I'm playing on browser, it gives me what it thinks are the next best choices to, to click on to try to trigger it. I agree with this most of the time, but due to differing strategies, I can actually go in and I think tweak the algorithm on this if I want, in terms of like, hey, recommend based on maybe amount of goods. But being in SAT goods are pretty in demand right now, so I always double my SOHs if I can, because that's going to give, a lot more goods with all these, you know, roads I have on them, the road to victories. So I'll start there, I'll run those. And right now I am being a total sucker and paying the $30 for the premium thing or whatever that NO offers, this thing over here, the Forge Plus. Not so much for the ads, even though, I hate that concept. They created an artificial economy by, adding ads to the game, which there never were before, and then here we are. So anyway, the big thing for me is being able to collect everything without having to, have the max of 100 FP here, because I'm collecting so much FP, and I'm just trying to maximize, get the most out of this game that I can right now for my time invested. It's important to me to do that. So yeah, I'm, paying $30 a month for now. So anyhow, back to collection. Sorry. So I'm going to obviously do the Grape Stompin Festival, because I don't care about the FP. I want the prints. So hoping it'll double. It doubled. I got 40 fragments instead of 20, which is like the best I could possibly hope for in that regard. Then I also have a Keymaster's workshop, excuse me, which gives me 2 fragments of the Tower of Conjunction, which is a really nice one to have for your attack and defense boost. So I'll usually trigger that. That's a very slow print producing building. It normally does 2. I'm getting 4. So these are kind of the ones I'm really watching first, and then I'll go over to, my monstrosity. I picked that up on the Halloween event, obviously, and then I'm just going to run through these sunflower presses, and it just starts to add up a lot. It's pretty incredible. And I'll do the 2 vibrant sunflower presses, and then I do take the recommendation on the Shinto Temple because it's got 50 goods and 14 FP. That's fine. And I do have an autumn vineyard that's not as, shiny buffed as these are, because I'm, this one's still building up on print fragments, but it's getting there. Oh, I clicked on the wrong one. Oh, I hate it when that happens. I should have zoomed in. So, yeah, no way I'm going to double that one now. So anyway, the other thing I wanted to just show you real quick, as I keep talking about fragments, I'll finish collecting first. And typically I run my RQs. I just kind of trying to not go in too many directions for the video here. But, being that I'm going to just say collect all here in a second, I'll at least get my RQs up in like 24 hours. I think I've got enough of those right now. I had done some RQs with my sleigh builders earlier, so they haven't quite baked their 24-hour cycle yet, but that's fine. And then this is, I'm sure, if any of you guys do RQs, this is always just such a mundane hassle, as obviously many of the functions of this game tend to be. But some of the growth aspects have been really, really cool as well. And it seems like NO's actually trying to change it up a little bit and keep it interesting, because I don't really know what they're doing to bring new people to the game, or if they are. I do meet people that seem new to the server, and people will reach out, other new players, but it just doesn't seem to be like it used to be. All right, so I'm going to stick with recruit and these here. For now, my donkey enclosures, produce goods and units, which is fantastic. So So you see I'm at 658 right now, and then I'm going to finish the balance of my collection here, and that'll bump it up to, where are we going to end up? Come on. Where's the number? That takes a minute, doesn't it? That's weird. Yeah, great. I broke it. Okay, so I guess once it reloads, we'll get to see how much FP I got. Oh no, check that out. It kind of flamed out. Oh, that's crazy. I haven't had that happen before on a browser. That's pretty nuts. Okay, so I guess I'm going to collect again, and I guess that's funny because it kept the RQs, but it put me back. That's so funny. It put me back on the collection. Okay, so here we go again, and hopefully it doesn't crash again and just gives me the FP. We'll see. This doesn't look good. I might have to pause this in a second. All right, I'm back. It kept crashing. I don't know what the deal was, so I reloaded my browser, and we'll just see where we ended up here on this collection. Hopefully this one works without crashing again. I don't know that it's going to. There we go. I think that might have worked. Trying one more time here. It seems like when the pop-up goes to tell me like what the results were, okay, finally, there it is. I don't know what happened. I ran some updates and things like that. So, yeah, so that put me up to 1,752 for this collection. So, yeah, that's, pretty decent bump compared to where I was. And, it just has a lot to do, I think, with the various buildings that I received through the process of the fall event. And then I wanted to show you about to keep an eye out for these fragments, because depending on whether you're playing mobile or whatever, they kind of show up a little differently. But it's always good if you have maybe not been paying attention to these, or not taking advantage of these. They add up over time, and they can be fragments of any kind of thing that you're getting benefits of from GE or other buildings you're collecting from, or GBG, etc. So over time, these add up, and then you can start, making these buildings. So anyway, that's been something that I've been paying really close attention to from when I collect, so that I can go in there and see, oh, did I get enough to make another building? And now, of course, I'm having to make decisions on real estate even further, and I still have like nine land tiles to buy, 9 expansions, because I haven't been able to buy any diamonds at discounts. So that kind of sucks. But the good news is there's some growth room for once I do decide to buy diamonds, if I ever get the percentage boost. So anyway, that's mainly what I wanted to go over, is kind of what's changed in my city and how the events have affected things. I would really highly recommend keeping an eye out for the Grape Stompin Festival in the future if it comes out. The problem with this, as you know, if you're familiar with what it took to get this building, I mean, I was pretty much spending like a drunk sailor on shore leave, because I had to make sure I wanted it, because I think on the number of people in the server and the percentage they were giving these means that maybe about 250 players actually got the level 2 on the entire server. So it was pretty rare to get, and for obvious reasons, by the fact that it spawns these vibrant autumn vineyards. So anyway, I am guessing they'll bring this back, and if not, something similar to it, to show that they're is willing to put something out there like this, where if you do want to lay down the cash, you can do that. I stopped playing console games quite a while back, and I figure, shoot, I was spending 50, 60, 70 bucks on those games in the past, and I don't do that anymore. So I allow myself to spend a little bit on this here and there. But anyway, appreciate you watching, and give me any comments that make sense to you, or if you have any ideas for other shows you want me to do addressing certain concepts, and we'll go from there. All right, take care. We'll see you next time.